It's just a TI-84?
Yeah.
Any brand model or anything like that? Texas Instrument?
Texas Instrument, yeah, TI-84, TI-83 is similar, but the 84 is better if you can find one.
Got it. I'll get one today.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen so you can see this calculator. It's like a calculator emulator. Can you see it?
Yeah. I can. I see it. Okay. I'll pick one up today.
So this is basically like the one you'll get. It's very similar. They're all pretty similar. Some of them look a little different, but the keys are all in the same place.
Will I be able to, you know how the iPhone has the calculator and you switch it to the side mode and it picks up everything else?
Yeah, the iPhone calculator is quite different than the one on the TI-84 because everything's kind of backwards on the iPhone calculator. Like if you want to do, say, a square root, you have to print a number and then hit square root as opposed to the more natural square root and then the number.
Okay.
So when you do the TI-84, it's all more natural. Like you put it in the order that it goes on your page instead of with the iPhone where it's kind of flipped.
Gotcha. So I'll watch this thing. I'll watch this and then I'll go pick one up today and yada, yada, yada.
Okay, so let me start it up. So the first thing you should notice is above every key. First of all, can you see my mouse pointer or am I just pointing at nothing?
Do it again?
Can you see my mouse pointer?
No.
Okay, so I'll just have to tell you.
Okay.
Now if I click it, you can see. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I got it.
So you notice above every key, it's got like this blue wording.
Yeah.
So those are second options. So if you hit the second button on any key and then hit that key, you'll get that second option. So keep that in mind as we go.
Okay.
So first I'll turn it on. You see this is the on button.
Yes, sir.
And so the first thing you'll do is if you do like basic calculations like 2 plus 3 and then the enter key acts as your equals button. So if you hit enter, you get the calculation result. And then you can also do like 2 times 3, enter, you get the multiplication result. So if you're done with the calculator at that point, what you can do is hit second off. So the on button, if you hit second first, acts as the off button.
What does the second do?
It just shifts it's kind of like the shift key on your keyboard. It changes the button so that instead of doing on, it'll do whatever's written above it, off.
Okay.
Notice how every key has like quit, insert, link. Every key has like a second function if you hit second first. So second on turns it off, on by itself.
Does it, when you hit second, does it keep the information from the first one?
Yeah, so if you hit second, you notice the little cursor here blinks as a little arrow instead of just regular cursor.
Yes.
So that tells you you're in second mode, and then when you hit a key, it'll be doing whatever is written in blue on this keyboard. So turn it back on. Keep saying this thing. I can just hit enter to ignore it. So now, if we look in the mode settings, so we go to mode here, you see this settings menu, and it's got a lot of features, some of which you probably won't care about yet, but just so you can be aware that this is here.
Okay.
The first thing you might notice is math print versus classic mode. So let me show you what math print mode looks like. So if I hit like square root, so notice that the square root button is the secondary feature of this key, the square button. Yeah. So you hit second square root of 9, for example. Notice how the square root actually looks like it would on the page. It actually goes over the number.
Yeah.
That's what math print mode looks like. If I turn off math print and go to classic mode, so if I do the square root now, it looks kind of ugly because it's not over the number. So you want to keep it in math print mode so it looks more natural.
Math print mode. You want to keep it in classic, you mean, right? Classic.
No, math print looks better.
Got it. Math print looks better.
Square root's looking proper and everything.
Okay, got it.
So notice that to get out of whatever you're doing, you go to second quit, second mode, so you
Uh-huh.
quit. That works kind of like a close button, which gets out of whatever you're in, so that's
Second
like an easy way to get out.
close out button. Okay.
Now talk about input and text editing. So let's say I do like 2 plus 6, but I accidentally have a fat finger and I typed the wrong number. What should I do to fix that? Well, the easiest way is to just go back and use the left arrow key, and that will shift the cursor to the left, and I can type over whatever I wanted to print. So instead of a 5, I want a 6. I can just hit 6, and it replaces the 5 with the 6.
Gotcha. Just go backwards. It'll blink on that area, and you can hit the button of the other number, and it'll put it in. Got it.
Now, let's say I make a more complicated mistake. So I want to do like 6 plus 8, but I notice I missed my plus sign there.
Yeah.
So what I can do, instead of just starting over and typing everything again, I can just hit the left key. But I know if I hit the plus button, it's going to replace my 8 with a plus.
And push the 8.
So another way we can fix this is instead of typing over the 8, I want to stick a plus sign in between the 6 and the 8.
Yeah.
So to do that, I have to shift it to insert mode. So I hit second, insert, delete. Now look at the cursor is different looking.
Yeah.
But if I press plus, it shifts the 8 over. It doesn't just type over it. It moves everything over.
Okay.
That works kind of more like a computer where, you move the cursor over and type and it shifts everything over
Yeah.
instead of just typing over it.
Okay.
Now, let's say I wanted to do 6 plus 8, but I do 66 plus 8, and I want to get rid of one of my numbers. So I go over to the number I want to get rid of, and I hit the delete button.
Okay.
Delete just kind of like a backspace. It gets rid of the letter that you don't want or the number that you don't want.
Okay.
And then if you want to just start over, like you completely hopelessly mess it up and you just want to start over, hit clear. If you hit clear once, it clears the input that you're working on. If you hit clear a second time, it blanks the screen out. However, even though it's cleared the screen, everything is still there. It's just in the history. So to go up and see what you've typed in the past, you can hit the up arrow key. And you see everything that I've done is already still present.
Okay.
So that's kind of handy if you want to go back and redo a calculation from earlier. If you scroll up to the actual input of the calculation, like let's say I want to go back to this one. If I press the enter key, it copies what I typed earlier and lets me change it. So I had like 2 times 3. Let's say I wanted to do 2 times 4. I can change that to 2 times 4. And now it gives me the result. But if I go up, I see the 2 times 3 is still in history. It just added a new entry to the history, 2 times 4. And again, if you feel like you're kind of up here and you're stuck and just want to go back to a regular input, you can hit second quit, and that'll bring you immediately to the end where you can type anything you want. There's also a couple of handy shortcuts here. So notice on the enter key, we've got this entry. That's the secondary option. So what that does, if I hit second enter, it'll pull out the last thing that I typed and let me fix it. That's pretty handy if you make a small mistake in your calculation, but you've already hit enter and you want to go back and redo that calculation. So if I do something kind of complicated, like 3 times 2 plus 5 minus 6, but I accidentally hit the wrong button and I hit enter. At that point, I could just hit second enter and it'll pull back the thing I just typed and I can go fix it. Now, we can go into some of the other features. So let me go into the math section. So under math, we see quite a few options. And the most common thing that you'll be using in the math menu is the fraction feature. This lets you convert a decimal into a fraction.
Get me to that screen one more time. I want to see that again.
Which one?
Get me to that screen that you're on. Yeah. How do I get to that screen? Math.
Math.
Hit math, and then it's the up and down arrows to get you where do you want to go. I gotcha. Okay.
You go to different tabs.
Okay.
With the right and the left.
And then once you're on one of them that you want,
hit enter.
Hit the enter.
So let's say I do like, I want to reduce a fraction. Let's say I have 12 over 20 and I do 12 divided by 20. But I don't want a decimal, I want a fraction. I hit math. It's already on fraction, so I can just hit enter, enter. Now that converted 0.6 into a fraction, 3 over 5. Now notice that it put this ANS, answer. What that does is it, answer refers to the last thing that, the last result you got. So answer stands for 0.6 in this case. If you hit any operation like a plus sign, automatically it'll put answer before it. So I can add 1 to my last result and get the answer from that. And I can multiply it by 2 by hitting times 2. I don't have to retype my number. I just hit times 2 and it will automatically multiply the last thing I got by 2. So let me show you another way to do that. So if you do like plus, minus, times, or divide, or a few other things, it'll automatically do the answer, like times 3. But then there's some operations that go before the number, like say a square root. If you do second square root, it doesn't have the answer. It's got a blank box. And if I hit enter, I get an error message because I'm taking the square root of a blank box. I can't do that. So if I want to pull up the last thing that I got as my answer, I can hit the second answer key. So the negative key acts as the answer key. That just pulls in the answer thing, even if it's not automatic. And that takes the square root of the previous answer, which is 33. It knows not to bother with the error message. It just goes to the last valid answer you got. And I realized that there's actually 2 minus keys here. There's a negative key and a minus key, so they're very different and they don't work interchangeably. So the negative key, which is the one down here by the parentheses, that's used to put in a negative number, and that always goes before the number. And then this acts as the minus key. So a lot of students will try to do this, like they want to do 12 minus 5, and they'll do 12 negative 5, and then they wonder why it's not working. Because they are using the wrong negative key. The same thing might happen if you try to do like 12 times negative 3, but they use the minus key when they should be using the negative key to get this error message. So on the screen, the negative is shorter than the minus, so you kind of have to look to see if you're typing the wrong negative key. After some practice, you'll realize that that's too short to be a minus sign, so that's actually the negative sign, and that's too long to be a negative sign, so that's actually the minus sign. Now, let's say you want to raise a number to a power, like say 3 squared. If you just want to square the number, you can hit the square button after the number, x squared, press enter, and you get the square. But if you want a different power, let's say the 5th power, you can do that with this up caret button. 3 to the 5, 243. So this is used for any power, and you can use it for squaring too, but this is a shortcut for just x squared, whatever the number is squared. Can you tell me what class you're taking so I know what I want to tell you more about?
So the class that I'm taking right now is what's the name of it? It's basic math. Math. I'll get you the direct name of it.
Is it 143 or is it?
Let me see. I don't want to give you the wrong thing. It's I'm sorry. It is math 2021 SP or math. It's MAT 003.
Oh, okay.
Transition math.
All right, so that's actually a class I teach. It's transition math, so I'm familiar with that. So I can show you. Basically, for that class, you do want to do some like fraction conversion, some like square roots and things like that. You probably won't go into the very detailed parts of the class, but let's say you want to do like a square root of, say, 9. You would do second square root 9, and then let's say you have a different thing, like say you want to do the square root of a different number, like say square root of 6. Now notice that that's a decimal, so that decimal is not an actual. We call this an irrational number because when you take the square root of a number, it gives you either a whole number or some number that's not a fraction and can't be made into a fraction. If I try to make it into a fraction, you see I fail because it's not a fraction. So one thing in this class is important is the order of operations. And sometimes we need parentheses around the numbers. So to get parentheses, you use the parentheses buttons here. Like say I want to do 8 times 5, close parentheses, and then plus 6. Notice that that's doing 8 times 5 plus 6. But if I do it without the parentheses, I just do 8 times 5 plus 6, notice that it gives me the same answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's because multiplication always comes before addition. Now, if let's say I wanted to do the 5 plus 6 first and then multiply by 8, I have to put parentheses around the numbers that I'm adding so it knows that I want to override the normal order of operations. Now it's doing 5 plus 6, which is 11 times 8, 88. So also, thought of something. So what if I was to do that and I forgot to close one of my parentheses and I just left off that closing parentheses? If I enter, it still automatically does the calculation as if I put that closing parentheses, so it's not a big deal. It still gives me the answer. Let's see other things that you might need to know for this class. So besides converting to fractions and some roots, you'll be needing to do the absolute value. So the absolute value is like 2 vertical lines that makes a number positive. So to get to that, we go to math, num, you go over to the right to num, and then you do the first option, abs. Notice that it's got the little lines here. So if I do 5 minus 8, 5 minus 8 is negative 3, but if I do it inside the absolute value, that makes it positive 3.
Show me that again, please.
Yeah, sure. Math, right to num.
No, got it.
6 minus 8 is positive 2. The absolute value makes it positive.
Got it.
Which tiers are you taking in Math 003? All of them?
I just finished one. I'm waiting for the code to open up this test I'm supposed to take.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been in for, I don't know, Jesus Christ, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished the first tier.
Well, good job on that.
Good job. Am I on track?
Well, you're well on track. If you've already finished one tier, you're in the top of the class most likely. So you're doing just
Okay.
fine.
Mazel tov.
So coming up later in the class, you'll be doing some basic graphing.
Okay.
So in tiers 2, and I know definitely in tier 3, you'll be doing some graphing. So I'll show you some more about the graphing features of the calculator. You won't be doing any crazy graphing, but you'll definitely do some graphing. So it's good to know how to do that. So the first thing to do is hit y equals.
Y equals.
So y equals pulls up this list of y's. It looks a little confusing, but what it lets you do is type in an equation for a line. So let's say I want to type in 3x plus 5. So that's one thing you'll be graphing is like equation of a basic line like 3x plus 5. So to do the x key, you use this key here. It's right here. It says xt theta n. That if I hit that button, it'll just automatically show me an x, and then I can do like whatever else I want to do, like 3x plus 2. So if I graph in 3x plus 2 and hit the graph key, I see my line. So I see my x and y axis. So x is this axis, y is this axis, and I see it's not very detailed, but I can see the line. If I want to go in more detail, I can hit zoom and go to zoom in. So I'll go down one, hit enter, and hit enter again, and then get a little more detail.
Mm-hmm.
So then whenever I'm done with the graph and I see what I need, I can hit second quit again and go back to my main screen. Hello, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Hello?
So, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm in Math 143. I was having difficulties, like when I'm at the house, like learning how to put negative in a problem, and how to put like the powers, like cube, square, and square units inside of a problem.
Okay, which
I don't know.
calculator?
I'm
Which
using,
calculator?
it looks like I have the same calculator you have.
Oh, the TI-84. Okay, good. That's the only one I can show you on here, so that's good. So, say you want a negative or like a power. Okay, so can you give me an example of a problem that I can put in?
Okay, so well, I've been to the lab, so they showed me. She was she did it so fast, but I didn't recognize it. But she was telling me that I was at home. I was using the minus sign for a negative. So like the numerator had a negative number and the denominator had a positive number. So I was just trying to divide the two. But every time when I was at home and I put it in, it was kept saying error.
Yeah.
Right.
He just went. Yeah.
There's the two negative keys. There's this one which goes before a number and makes it
I
negative.
was using like
This is the
yeah.
minus, which goes between numbers.
Yeah, that I was using that.
So if you want to do like -3, you would hit the negative before the number. If I use minus instead, it may sometimes work, but that's only by luck. You probably will get the wrong answer. Like if I try to do 5 minus 3, but I use the wrong key, I get a syntax error because I'm using a negative.
That's what I get.
Notice on the screen the minus is longer than the negative sign, so you can kind of tell that that's not really the correct way.
Oh, okay.
If I just hit -3, it's trying to subtract 3 from something, which is not really what I wanted to do. So I want to hit the negative before a number. But if I'm just doing subtraction, I use this minus key.
Okay, so if I wanted to add powers like 5 to the cube to 5 squared or x, or if I had x squared plus x squared, how would I put that in there?
So to do a power, you use this caret button. So 5 to the 3 or whatever. And if you just want to square something, you can hit this instead. It automatically squares without having to do the up key first.
What did you just do?
So to do a regular power, you use this up little caret thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that puts me in the exponent box where I can type anything I want, like 3. Whatever. But if I want to do just squaring quickly, that's the most common one. So sometimes you just want to square. You can hit up 2, or you could just hit the X square button and it'll automatically do the little square thing.
Oh, okay. So then I noticed that up on the top, it says the x minus 1 on it. We even have that button.
So X minus 1 does reciprocal. Like, say if I do 4, X minus 1, it puts this negative 1 power, and what that does is 1 over 4. It's a, like if I do 1 divided by 4, I get the same answer. So basically,
Oh,
put the number under 1. So if I do like 2 x minus 1, I get half, 1.5.
oh,
That's not as common.
interesting.
It's not as common to use that, but it does have its uses. And if you want to change to a fraction, you just hit math, enter, and that changes whatever your decimal is into a fraction.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. Okay, so how do you change a what did I just have? How do you change a decimal to a fraction and a fraction into a decimal? I know how to do it on paper, but how do you do it on the calculator?
So let's say I want to do 12 divided by 20 as a fraction, and I want to reduce it to a simplified fraction. So by default, when you do division, it gives you a decimal. So you hit math, enter, enter. Math has a lot of useful features, but the first thing is probably the most useful, the fraction feature. That changes what you have in the fraction. Now, usually you don't have to convert it to a decimal, but if you really need to, you can go down to math dec decimal, and it'll change it back to a decimal.
Oh, okay, they got a math button. Oh,
So
okay,
math,
that's how.
you can do a lot of things like cube roots, any roots like fourth roots, and then you can do like absolute value. So if you go to math num abs, you get the little absolute value bars, which turns any number into a positive, like -6. Gives you 6.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. That's for my dilemma. You just solved my problem.
But there's more. So does your calculator look exactly like this one?
It looks like it. I have a TI 84 plus.
So if on your calculator, if you hit alpha y equals, do you see a menu like this?
Okay, if I hit, what you just hit?
Alpha, the green
Alpha.
button, and then y equals. Does it do anything?
No, well, I don't have nothing on there, so I put alpha and did nothing show up.
Did you hit the y equals after it?
Oh, where's the Y equal at?
The top left button.
Oh, yeah, I got Y, it looks like 1 power at the bottom. And then it got Y2 at the bottom. And then, let me see, I might have hit the wrong number. Okay.
You hit alpha first and then y equals.
Alpha. And then, oh, I see it. I got you.
Do you
Yeah.
see the menu?
Hours and days or something?
Does it have like,
1, 2, 3, 4.
like
Yeah,
this?
I got it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it looks like that.
good. So you have the better calculator. This has the shortcut menu. So this can be used to do a lot of extra things. Like if you want to put in a fraction, if you go alpha y equals, and then you pick the first option, n over d, numerator over denominator, you get this fraction input. And then you can type in a fraction any way you want, like say 12 over 30.
Oh my God, I see that.
And if I hit enter, it'll automatically convert it to a fraction. I don't have to hit
Okay, so if I push 9, how do I get to the bottom? I put it says put in the fraction. I'm actually trying to do it.
So you,
Oh, never mind. I see. I put the barrel. I hit the barrel button to the bottom. Okay. That is interesting.
so now it gets better. So if we want to do a mixed number, you pick the second option, UND,
Okay, hold on.
alpha y equals
Okay,
UND.
so how you clear out of that once I get in? Because I got it in another thing. How do I get out of that?
Oh, to get out of whatever you're doing, just hit second quit. Second quit, will move it. And then if you want to clear the screen, just hit clear.
Second clear. Second clear.
Second quit, second mode, and then clear if you want.
Second mode. Oh shoot. Oh. Now, what else you say I can do now?
So now let's go to alpha y equals,
Okay. Oh. Okay.
and then go to UND, the second option here.
Okay.
So that lets you type in a mixed number, like say 1.
Oh. How do you put that in? Just 1.
And then go to the right and go up and go down as you need to using the arrow buttons.
Okay, so, okay, wait, I did something wrong. Okay, hold on. Okay, start over. Hold on. Second, I did something wrong. I don't know how to get out now.
So again,
Okay, okay.
second quit,
The alpha top. Go to the second one. Okay, now you say put in the one number, and then how do I get to the top number?
press the right key,
Oh, I got you.
and then type in your numerator, and then go down, and
Okay.
then the denominator.
And then once I put all the number, do I have to just push enter?
Well, if you want to do something, you probably want to actually do something with it, so you can go to the right until the cursor is to the side of it, and then you can say add or multiply or whatever, and then you can do another mixing.
How would you add another one to it?
So after going to
What
the
if
right,
you had another? What if you had another fraction?
so then you can go back to alpha y equals and do
Oh, you
fraction.
have to do it again.
Let's go back and do another mixed number. And let's do 2 and 2/3.
Oh, that's interesting.
And if I enter, it gives me my number, but it's not in mixed number form, and perhaps I wanted it to stay at mixed number. So now, to get my answer into mixed number form, I can hit alpha y equals again. And this third option, it converts between regular fraction and mixed number. So if I go to 3, looks a little confusing, but that just changes between fraction and mixed number. It gives me my answer is 4 and 5/12.
Oh, that's how you do it. Okay.
If you want to go back, you just do that again, and it switches it back to 53 over 12. And look what happens if I just hit enter. So enter automatically,
It just keep going.
if you hit enter without doing anything else, it'll repeat the last thing that you type, no matter what it is. So
No matter what, even if I don't do that, if I do something else, if I keep doing that, it'll still do the same thing.
like if, let's say I have a number like 3 and I want to add 6 to it. If I hit 3 plus 6, enter, enter, enter.
Oh, it keeps doing it.
But that's kind of not really what I want, right? I want to keep adding 6 to it. So what I would do is just hit 3, enter, and then I do plus 6. Now, if I hit plus by itself, it pulls up the answer, which means whatever the previous answer was. And then if I hit enter, and enter, and enter. Look, it's
Oh, and
adding.
it keep adding +6 to it.
That's more useful. So that's how you could do like sequential adding.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me try that. Okay, 3,
Like 3 or whatever, and then
Right.
enter, and +6, enter.
and then +6, and then enter. Enter. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Thank
So-
you. Oh, I've been doing it the long way all this time.
It's kind of helpful when dealing with, in 143, you have some like multiplication that you have to do over and over. So you
Yeah,
can,
we haven't got that far yet. But I wish you do this again, so when I do get that far, I can ask you. Okay, thank you. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I learned a lot in one day. Can you give this class again?
not this semester, but probably next semester.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Okay. Todd,
Yeah, I'm here.
all right. Did you catch any of that?
No,
Because I
yeah, I was watching the whole thing.
You're basically applies to you here. If you get this calculator, you'll be able to do a lot of the same things like in the alpha y equals menu. You get this. That's handy when typing in a fraction. You can do fractions as division or using the fraction feature. The nice thing about doing it as a fraction is it automatically looks like a fraction instead of looking like a division, and it gives you the fraction form instead of the decimal form. So if you go alpha y equals, and then if you hit the other buttons up here, you can also see there's your absolute value. That's another way to get to it instead of the math menu. And then there's other features that you probably won't see for quite some time, but like matrices and functions, but not too worried about that right now. Just main things for 003 you'll need will be fraction, converting between fractions and mixed numbers, and absolute value. So do you have any particular questions?
I'm gonna need to go grab one of those machines before I can really delve into it.
Right, and there are some, let me pull up something that it will, you can refer to learn more about it when you get it,
Okay.
like a user manual.
Okay.
I'm copying a link into the chat. Should be able to pull it up, and
Got it.
it's a pretty long book. It's like 400 pages, but you could refer to it. I wouldn't read it all. It'd be very boring to read cover to cover, but you could use it as kind of a shortcut thing. It looks like there's another easier one to follow, so I'm going to send you the link to that one as well.
Tina.com. Media.
Yeah, the second one I showed you is only a few pages, but it's like a quick access guide that shows you the basic features.
I'm thinking YouTube will have a couple of videos on it too, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of videos about the TI-84.
And you're
Almost-
telling me, and I need to get the 84, not the 83.
You can get either one. Honestly, they're basically the same calculator. It's just that the 83 lacks some of the features that the 84 has. Like the 83 doesn't have the math print mode, and it doesn't have these alpha y equals menus. You can't really do fractions or mixed numbers on it.
So it's best
So-
to get the whatchamacallit. To
Yeah,
get the
84.
Got it.
Now, do you plan to take another math class beyond?
I got to take chemistry.
Yeah, so it would be a good calculator for that. As far as chemistry, there are some extra features. Like, notice this purple or pink apps button. Now, this one doesn't have it, unfortunately, but a lot of the calculators, when you pull up the apps menu, you
Yeah.
can actually reach a full-featured periodic table directly in your calculator. Let me show you what that looks like, even though I can't show you on the emulator right now.
Oh, I see it. That's the guidebook. Yeah. Oy vey, Smir.
So let me change my screen share and see.
Forever. It's like schematics.
So this is basically on the actual calculator. It has many more options under apps. And you see here, there's the periodic menu. And then if you have the color version, you don't need the color version, but if you have it, it's really nice. And you can see like basically a full featured periodic table, which is kind of nice for chemistry. If you can find the color version for cheap, then go ahead and get the like TI-84 color edition. Kind of expensive, but it's kind of worth it if you really want the best calculator there is. Because it has a full LED color display as opposed to the old-fashioned two-colored monochrome display. And have a lot, even more features than the TI-84 standard edition does.
Okay.
It's very confusing because there's the Plus edition, there's the Silver edition, there's the Plus Silver, there's the Color
Which-
edition.
Which one do you recommend?
For if you can afford it, the TI-84 Plus Color edition. The Plus CE Color, it's obvious that it's the color one because it's this flatter new design instead of the more bulky. Like
I'm wondering, but do I need that one? The reason why I say that is it's not actually the money issue. It's the fact that I just have this class and a chemistry class and I'm done.
right, you don't need.
Then I'll put it in a drawer somewhere.
Right, if you don't really need it, then you don't really even need a TI-84
Okay.
because I'll show you the calculator that you could use instead.
Right. I just want to, like I said, just get through these two classes and I'm out.
Right, so if you just want a basic calculator that will get you through Math 003 in chemistry,
Yeah.
can you see this TI-30XS, this blue thing?
A TI-30.
It's way cheaper. It's like $20, and it's perfectly
TI-30.
capable. It doesn't
Got
do graphing, but it has a lot of the other features and many of the same things that you can do in the
Will I
TI.
be able to use that for the basic chemistry class?
Yeah, because pretty much in chemistry, you'll just be doing a lot of fractions and multiplying and dividing and maybe some exponents. You won't be doing anything too crazy. So
So the TI-30 calculator.
that would be, if you can find it, really, I recommend the TI-30 for my class certainly because it, unlike say this one works, the TI-30 XIIS, but notice that it has the simpler display and
Yeah.
it's kind of awkward to use. I recommend the TI-30 XS Multi-View because it has the better math print display and it can show you your history, so it shows you things that you've already typed. It just
How about
has more features.
How about the TI-30XA?
Let me find that one.
TI-30XA. And you're right, they're real cheap. This TI-30 IIS scientific calculator, I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah, the TI-30XA isn't too bad, but it does have the simplified. It's like the display's
Gotcha.
simple. It's not
Gotcha.
very useful because it doesn't really show you what you're typing correctly.
Okay.
See, it can handle fractions, but barely. It doesn't let you change anything that you've entered. doesn't even
Okay,
let
so
you really see
show me,
it.
show me the one that you want me to get, and I'll get it.
So I like this one, the TI-30 XF, because
What is it? TI-30
XS multi-view.
XS? TI-30 XS. Okay, hang on a
For
second.
the money, you can't beat it. I mean, for $20 some, you can get like the map
XS.
display with the square roots looking correct, and you can do some variables and
TI-30 XS.
mhm.
Got it.
I actually have one I can show you personally on my own calculator. Let me pull it up.
It's the TI-30X2S. I guess that's it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a 2 in it, but let me stop sharing my screen and just show you.
Okie dokie.
Can you see my camera?
Sure.
So this is I bought this so I'd have it for the class, the 003 class, because it's the calculator I recommend.
Okay.
So a lot of the same features are on it, like to do on, you just hit the on button, and then to do off, you hit the second on. So it's still got
Got
the second button.
I just found it, and I just bought it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar, like pretty much everything I've shown you as far as like doing answer, pulling up the last answer you type, and doing like second quit, the mode, all of that's here. So it's basically, it does everything that the TI-84 will do except graph.
Got it.
And
I
if
just
you can save $70 on it, why not? You know, you don't really need a graphing calculator.
Right. So after I'm done, I'm just going to leave it in the drawer anyway.
Right. So
Yeah.
this one, even after you're done with the class, you can still use it as a regular desktop calculator.
As a calculator, yeah, absolutely.
Pretty easy to use. Like, but as far as changing between fraction and decimal, you'll notice there's no math key. So you might find yourself wondering how to change between a decimal and a fraction. So notice that this has this extra key right here, this little, can you see that little two-headed arrow thing right above the enter key?
Yeah.
So that's how you change between a decimal and a fraction. So if I do like 5 divided by 8, it gives me my decimal answer, 0.625. And if I hit the little two-headed arrow, it makes it back into a fraction. So if I hit it over and over again, I get back and forth. Now, let's say I want to change something into a mixed number. So if I want to first type a mixed number, do you notice there's this fraction button here, n over d?
Yeah, I see it.
So if I hit n over d by itself, I get the little fraction bar, and I can type in like 8 over 5. I get my fraction. Now, if I want to change that to a mixed number, you see in the middle there's that
Yes.
ND, UND thing. If I hit
Yeah.
second ND, UND, and press enter, I get a mixed number 1 3/5. If I just want to type a mixed number by itself, I hit second UND, which is this button, not this one. And then I can type in any mixed number I want, like say 3 2/5. Then go to the right and hit plus 1 and 1. Plus 1 3/4. So if I type it in, I can type it exactly as it looks and press enter, and it gives me my answer. But again, the answer is in an improper fraction form. So I can hit second in this middle button again, and it changes it into a mixed number, 5 3/20. If I hit the little two-headed arrow, it'll just change it to a decimal, or back and forth.
Hey, Moses.
Mhm.
They need to have a class on this, man.
They're really
You guys
good.
need to have a class on how to use one of these things, man. It's crazy complicated.
So some other things that you might notice, there's this pi button. You probably won't use that much in tier 2, but it would have been handy in tier 1, like to do geometry. There's the pi button.
I was using pi. Yeah, I was, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you see it, if I type pi and press enter, it just says pi. But if I
Yeah.
hit the two-headed arrow, then it
Yeah,
gives
it
me
shows the function card,
pi.
yeah. The number itself.
So other than just those little things with the fractions, it's otherwise a pretty similar calculator to the TID4. So most of what I've showed you will still be here.
Okay.
As far as absolute value, I don't think that can be done on this calculator, but you have to do with absolute values, just make it positive, so it's not that big of a loss to not
Gotcha.
have that feature. Also, for the last few minutes, I'll show you, because in Tier 2, you'll be doing some statistics,
Mhm.
and nothing too crazy, but you will need to do like mean, median, mode, things like that. This calculator can actually do statistics. So notice there's this data key. See,
Yeah, okay. Data.
right, data. I get a little menu here where it says like L1, L2. So if I want to type in a list of numbers, let's say I have a list of numbers I want to find the mean for. So I could do like 5, enter 3, enter 12, enter 16, enter. I hit enter after each key. 8, enter, whatever. It doesn't matter what order I put them in. Once I'm done with those, I hit second data, which is the stat button. And it says 1 var stats or 2 var stats. I'm just going to want 1 var stats. I don't care about 2 var stats. So I hit enter. Notice now it says data L1, L2, L3. Well, I put it in L1, the first box, so I'll keep it at that. I could just go down to calculate, the calc, and press enter. So it says n equals is how many numbers I put in, and that's not so surprising. X bar, so X bar is the mean. That's pretty useful because that's an easy way to find the average. You don't have to actually add them up and divide by how many you have when you can just do the X bar in the calculator.
Okay.
And then a few things we don't care so much about, but then at the bottom there's this min, Q1, median, Q3, and max. That set of numbers is called the 5-number summary. I don't know if you've seen box plots yet, since it's kind of near the end of Tier 2, but I'll show you what that looks like. Let me share my screen real quick. So, wait, hang on a second. So, can you see my image here?
Sure.
So, a box plot basically, or also called a box and whisker plot, it's got like the center box and then 2 lines, one that goes to the left and one that goes to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So the one to the left points to the minimum value. The one on the right points to the maximum value. And the left side of the box is the Q1. The right side of the box is Q3, and then this line down the middle is the median. So I'll show you a different one. So this is basically a simplified box plot. You see, let me do one with actual numbers on it. Hang on. This is a good one. So it shows you that your minimum is at 20. Your Q1 is about 27. Your your median is about 34. Your Q3 is about 50, and your maximum is around 59. So you can find the 5-number summary from where the lines are in the box. So 20, 27, 34, 50, 59. That's the same as the 5 numbers that you see on the calculator at the bottom, like min, Q1, median, Q3, max. So that will be handy if you're trying to find a box plot for a set of data. You can do it on the calculator. Good. So about to the end of the hour, do you have any questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. So
No.
you got TI-30XS, so that's
As soon as I get this calculator, I guarantee you I will.
Okay, so since you got this other calculator, let me find a manual for you to look at so you don't read the one about the TI-84 for no reason. Because, you know, they should just come with the book, but, you know, they don't really. So I found this document that's like 40 some pages. It's a little more simplified. So let me send that to you. The last link I just sent in the chat is like
Okay.
a 44-page document that shows the main features of the TI-30 XS. So
Gotcha.
that looks a lot easier to follow than the one for the TI-84. So that's something you can read over if you get stuck on it. It's pretty easy to use, but there are a few little things you have to watch for. So
Yeah, practice. Practice.
yeah,
All right, Mose. Listen, I appreciate your time, man.
you're welcome.
I'm on it. Thanks, brother. Bye.
Mhm. All right, bye.